Hey, it's Monica, and I feel like YouTube is probably not for me. I haven't enjoyed creating YouTube content as much as I enjoyed drawing my comics or writing the books I'm working on, and I also am not very good at it. I'll probably keep making videos, but I'm probably not going to try making weekly videos anymore because it's been kind of stressing me out trying to make weekly videos, especially when I have nothing to say. Yeah, I think that's the main issue is that I don't really have anything I really want to make. Any any idea I got really excited about making on YouTube would be like something fictional, like a series. I was thinking of making some kind of game, like a choose your own adventure type game on YouTube. I thought that would be fun. That would be a lot of work though, and I really don't have time for something like that, unfortunately. So, yeah, I studied STEM, so I'm not a good essayist. And a lot of the content I like to consume on YouTube is video essays, which would be the kind of content I would make if I wanted to really go hard at YouTube. But again, not an essayist. So I will still occasionally post videos, I think, if something comes up that I really want to talk about. But I don't think I'm going to be like making myself make videos if I'm not really feeling it. And it doesn't really matter anyway because literally no one watches my YouTube videos, and that's okay. I'm okay with that because they're a bit like not good. So, but today I did think of something to talk about. I came to this decision after a lot of faffing around because first I wanted to make a video comparing Princess Bride and Stardust, where my thesis would basically have been Stardust is super underrated and it's kind of like Princess Bride but less annoying. But Princess Bride is a good movie, and I never would have been trying to claim that Princess Bride was not a good movie, but there are certain aspects of it I don't like, mostly the character of Buttercup, who's like a non-human. Like, you could replace her with an object and the story wouldn't change, which bothers me. I feel like that's a better litmus test for characters, or like better even than the Bechdel test, is just, can you replace this woman character with a pot of gold, and would the story be exactly the same? And if the answer is yes, then you probably don't have a very good female character. But anyway, as I was researching to make this video, I was watching videos on the Princess Bride, and it was kind of winning me over a bit, honestly. Like, all of the videos I watched, they were all like real good reviews, and I was like, okay, yeah, you have some good points. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can just make a video about how Stardust is underrated and not mention the Princess Bride. And so I was looking at videos on Stardust, and the first video I came across was basically Stardust hates women. And I was like, what? I didn't get that at all. And I watched it. I really like this movie. But then I was listening to her points, and I was like, okay, yes, she also makes some good points. Ouch, my heart. And then I was like, okay, yeah, clearly I'm not a video essayist. I give up. But I do have something I wanted to talk about today, and that is written by men energy versus written by women energy. And this is something I've been thinking about lately because I watched that movie Girl Boss. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's on Netflix, and it's basically about girl bosses, and it's very clearly aimed at women, and it's about women. And you'd think, well, surely that sounds good, that sounds cool, let's give it a watch. So I watched it, and it was just awful. It just had the biggest written by men energy I have ever experienced from something I really wasn't expecting it from. And I didn't know at the time that it was written by men. I was just watching it and thinking, okay, that I really don't feel like a woman wrote this. And so yeah, I googled it afterwards, and it was written and directed entirely by men, and it was just, you can absolutely tell in how it's written for a number of reasons. First of all, there's just the movie was basically about two girl bosses who own a makeup company, right? And they're kind of arguing and not doing so well, but they're like career-minded women, business first. There's no like love story. It's all about like your company being your baby, which I respect. But it also kind of felt like the movie wasn't sure if that was a good or bad thing. Like, they weren't really sure how to treat the girl bosses. There was like a lot of themes of like them hanging around with their friends who were married with babies, and it seemed like no one really knew how to treat these two independent women without families who were just running a business. Like, the movie wasn't selling it to me as like, wow, this is awesome. But the movie, it didn't seem too critical of them, but there was like a bit of everything. And it was like the movie didn't really know what they were trying to say or how they were trying to treat these women. And it was just a bit weird. And then there's the whole, like, there was this scene at the start, and I think this one is what really got me, is that they're like smoking weed in their friend's room, like, because they're at a house party. And then they realize the baby is in there, their friend's baby, and they get so shocked that they drop their blunt, and they drop it right next to the baby's face in the baby bed. And their reaction is just like to take a photo of it because it's so hilarious. They don't immediately take it away from the baby's face. This is a lit blunt, and they're taking a picture of the evidence that they have a blunt by a baby's face. Like, if someone saw that, that could be like, that's something you would call Child Protective Services for, right? If that photo got leaked out of context, then the baby could be taken away from its parents. Not to mention the possible brain damage of letting a baby inhale weed. It's just like, it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, what women would want this movie? Who would want this? Who would want these characters as their leads? And then there was like other stuff with how they dealt with the makeup aspect of it. It had this very like caking on makeup is bad kind of vibe, where like the main characters are like, no, we just want to bring out the natural beauty and like very light makeup. You can barely tell they're wearing makeup kind of makeup. And then the villains of the story were all like caking on their makeup, really big false lashes. And it's like, just let girls wear what they want, okay? There is no right or wrong way to do makeup. The right way is however the woman wearing the makeup wants to wear her makeup. And so the way they were just basically being quite negative about certain types of makeup and certain types of ways women might want to wear their makeup was just very written by men energy for me. There was also the villain of the story, who was another girl boss, who's basically like tyrannical girl boss, who was basically just trying to break up the main characters and their friendship just because she was jealous of strong female friendship. And it was like, who the fuck wrote this? Like, why? So that was my example of written by men energy. But the reason I wanted to do this video is because lately I've been watching a Korean drama which has such huge written by women energy, and I love it. And I really wasn't expecting to see it from a K-drama, because I always go into a K-drama a bit skeptical because they tend to always have kind of the same male and female leads. They have the male lead who's like really rude to the female lead, treats her like trash, is really smart and really handsome and really rich, and everyone is like super fangirling over him. And then there's like the main female lead who's like awkward, dorky, not very pretty or special, just kind of bumbling along, drawing the male lead's attention just by being adorkable, I guess. And like, that's fine, but then there's like a lot of weird sexist tropes that gets mixed in. Like, have you noticed in a K-drama that there's always a scene where the male lead will like grab the female lead by the wrist and then just start like dragging her away from like, I don't know, the secondary love interest or something, and he'll just like drag her around like she's a shopping trolley, and it's just really ridiculous. And sometimes it goes on for really long amounts of time. Like, they have like this whole kind of montage of them going a really long distance with her just dragging her by the wrist like she isn't a human being. So there's like a lot of weird tropes like that in K-drama, which like are just like, what? But this was actually really good. It's called My Idea's Gangnam Beauty. I'm not sure if I said that right. And it was just really refreshing, because it's like they systematically addressed all the tropes in K-dramas that I don't like. I'll talk about that more later, but first, it's basically, the plot is, there is this girl and she grew up incredibly ugly and she got bullied for being ugly literally all the time. And so she got a whole bunch of plastic surgery because she just wanted to be treated like a normal human being, you know? But now that she's had a ton of plastic surgery, while she does look quite pretty, she just kind of gets made fun of because it's very obvious she's had plastic surgery. So everyone's calling her like a plastic monster and a Gangnam Beauty, which is apparently slang for a woman who's had lots of plastic surgery. Like, there's a scene where she talks about it, how she's just really upset because like all she wants is to be treated like a normal human being, and no matter what she does, she's going to be bullied for it. And if that is not a perfect representation of how society treats women, I don't know what is. Like, you're not allowed to be ugly, but you're not allowed to be seen to be trying to be pretty, and that pretty much sums up being a woman perfectly. And so there's a lot of moments in there which really read as being written by women, and how, like, genuine they are and how real they are. Like, there's another moment where one of the characters, who is, like, kind of overweight, I guess, by Asian standards, by Western standards, she's quite normal. And they do say that in the show, like, they're all like, no, you're not fat, you're normal. And it's, like, very sweet. But there's, like, a whole scene where she's telling people off because a lot of people are always telling her, you've got such a pretty face, you'd be so pretty if you lost weight. And it's kind of like, well, she didn't ask for your opinion on that. Like, it's just the amount of unsolicited comments women get about their appearance from men. Like, even if you're just coming up to a woman you don't know to tell her she's really pretty, it's just, it can come off as just really weird. Like, I didn't ask. I've definitely gotten comments before where I've just been minding my own business and a guy has walked up like, wow, you're the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. And I'm like, thanks, but what are you doing? It's just the way they say it, like they're bestowing upon you some kind of great reward. Like, they expect you should be, like, really grateful for them to come up to you and randomly comment on your appearance. And it doesn't really matter what they're saying, it's just the fact they're doing it all, that they think it's their right to come in and judge your appearance, and that you should be happy to receive whatever judgments they give you. It's not about the rating you get, it's about the fact that people are rating you. But anyway, this K-drama, I really like it because it just seems to systematically dismantle tropes that I really don't like in K-dramas. Like the one I was talking about before, how the main female love interest is always treated like a shopping trolley. There's a scene where the male lead grabs the female lead's wrist and you're like, oh, he's about to do that thing where he drags her off. But then the female lead shakes his hand off and is like, you can't just touch me whenever you want. And I was like, sis, yes. Yes, oh my gosh, yes, I love this. I also love how they've subverted the estranged mum trope, where the male lead always has that really rich, really pretty mum who hates the female lead and is like, you don't deserve my son. They've done the exact opposite of that, where, like, the female lead creates a really strong bond with the male lead's mum, and it's just really wholesome and cute. And I'm just like, yes, thank you, this is so refreshing. And the female lead just consistently sticks up for herself. And they have a moment where, you know, in a K-drama, there's always that scene where the male lead has to defend the female lead's honor, probably from, like, a creepy dude. Like, they do that here, where the male lead basically beats someone up because he was saying really awful things about the female lead's plastic surgery. And afterwards, the female lead was like, don't do that. I don't want you to punch people because of me. Like, that's not at all what I want. And the male leader's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I promise I'll never punch someone on your behalf again. And it's like, thank you. This is amazing. I feel like as I was messaging my friend telling him all the exciting things about this K-drama, he was like messaging me back like, girl, this is such a low bar. What are you doing? And I'm like, I know, but it's just so good though. And oh my God. The male love interest is just consistently polite to the female protagonist the entire time. He cares about her a lot and he's really nice to her. Just from the beginning, the whole time. And it's like, I've never seen this in my life. This is amazing. Gah. Because, I always end up rooting for the secondary love interest in K-dramas because the primary love interest is always like an absolute asshole. He's just always really mean to the female lead and you're like, why am I supposed to root for you? And then you've got like the secondary protagonist on the side who's like very kind to her and is always helping her and making her laugh, and you're like, well, why isn't she with this one though? Why would she pick the other one? He's literally the worst person ever. He's just really mean and he like drags her around like a shopping trolley and like, but they don't do that in this one. And there's actually a really interesting scene where she's rejecting the secondary love interest because he confesses to her and he's like, I like you because you're pretty. And she's like, the fuck? No. I don't want you to like me because I'm pretty. So anyway, yeah, this K-drama just has huge written by woman energy. So that was basically my chat. If you know any examples of TV shows or movies that have written by man energy or written by woman energy, let me know because I'm interested. And yeah, I don't know when I'll be releasing my next video because I'm just going to make them as I feel now, which is honestly a lot better. But still, you can like, comment, and subscribe, even though I know literally no one is watching this. No one watches my videos. I have 0 subscribers and 0 views. Okay, bye!